Hey everybody, what's up? Today I'm actually down in my basement taking care of some winter sowing. I think this video is really just going to focus on the stuff that I'm winter sowing this January. I've done some vegetables and of course some flowers, answering some questions and stuff just for fun because honestly, what else would I talk about for however long? Get into it. This is what I've gotten so far, and so if I missed one, I'm sorry. I'll get it next time if we do this again. But first, please do a garden tour. We love to see them. And more videos on starting flower seeds, more herbs, more propagation videos. Definitely, yes, propagation videos, yes. More herbs, for sure. I need to do that. One of the main reasons that I don't do garden tours that often is because my garden's usually a mess. I mean, obviously there's lots of pretty flowers blooming and stuff like that, but I am not the best at keeping all the weeds out. And especially since the yard is so small, it's really about 30 foot by 30 foot. There's not really much to show. And I feel like if I just show you the whole thing, I'm giving away the mystery. I don't know. I'll show y'all. It doesn't matter. But yes, I need to grow more herbs. I agree there. This year I've got some mint and lavender and I think some tarragon. I'd have to look at my seed list, but there are going to be some more herbs. And of course the flowers and vegetables, so that's good. Alright, so the next question was 10 seeds you would sow if you were starting a cut flower business. Well, that's my ultimate goal, is to have a cut flower farm. So this question is right up my alley. First and foremost, I would say make sure you know what grows well in your area. For example, where I live, the summer is really hot and humid, and some flowers hate the weather here. Sweet peas hate my weather. All kinds of cool annuals, they just do not like it here. But there are things here that do really great, like sunflowers and celosias and zinnias. You can basically just throw those seeds on the ground here and everybody's like, dang, you know how to grow stuff, but really they just love it. I think another thing to keep in mind is what your goal is. Is your goal to make a lot of money? Is your goal to just get your feet wet and try it out for the first time? Things like zinnias and sunflowers, they're not going to make you a lot of money. In fact, I know a couple people who grow flowers and they refuse to grow sunflowers and zinnias because, oh, anybody can grow them. But whatever, I love sunflowers and zinnias. Or maybe you have a lot more gardening experience and you want to try stuff like lisianthus and you want to do bulbs and dahlias and things like that. It really just depends on you, so I can't pick a top 10. The 10 that I started with when I was completely new to this, I didn't have any experience with growing flowers. Nobody in my family gardens, it's just me. So I started out really easy. Cosmos, zinnias, sunflowers, marigolds, I'm trying to think, lots and lots of sunflowers, like lots of sunflowers. Celosia are pretty easy to grow here. Amaranth, things like that, things that love the heat and things that are really forgiving. That's what I started out with. And really looking back at trying to start a cut flower business, I'm not so sure that I would start with seeds. It really just depends on how much room you have and what your goals are. Because, you know, looking back a few seasons ago, I would have loved to invested some money into just perennial plants that are easily propagated. For example, if I found some hydrangeas that I really loved and started propagating my hydrangeas, I'd have so many more now. That's really one of the most expensive parts, is the investment in the perennials like roses and peonies and all of those really gorgeous big like showstopper flowers. I think building up a stock of those is really important because it can be very expensive. So if you are just starting out, I would say maybe buy a rose bush. Make sure it's not patented because, hey, you're not supposed to do that, right? And start propagating a rose bush. And, you know, by the time you do grow into, you know, this business that you've wanted, you'll have, you know, more stock and more flowers to offer up. I think that's one thing that I've noticed. I've been putting off perennials over and over, you know, and then start investing in my perennials. But, you know, you can always dig those things up and move them to a new location. So that's one thing I should have done starting out, and I didn't, and I'm kind of regretting it. But all right, the next question is, how much did you get for hubby when you sold him on eBay with all your other stuff? Also, do you have a problem with Aster yellows? And if you do, what do you do about it? Thanks. Okay, if you've read the description of my channel, it says that I literally like sold almost everything on eBay, and yeah, that's true. That's a true story. When I first started out to do this, I went through my closet. I sold any kind of old clothes or work clothes that I didn't wear anymore. I sold pretty much everything in my house that wasn't nailed down, and the majority of that money went to my landscape fabric that you see all the time. This is like the 4th or 5th year for that landscape fabric. Initially it was a really big investment, at least for me, you know, starting out with just, okay, I need to buy this, how am I going to do it, and wanting to buy things like, you know, different dahlias and all that, and seeds to get started for the first year. And overall I definitely think it was worth it. I didn't sell any people, which is good, because that's probably, I'm not sure that's allowed. I don't think that's allowed. And I think I'm probably lucky, because if I did have a husband, I probably wouldn't have gotten away with selling a lot of stuff that I did sell. So as for the Aster yellows, I've never really had a problem with Aster yellows. I think maybe once I had a problem with it on some echinacea. The echinacea, the flowers were looking crazy. I don't know, you can Google it if you've never seen it on an echinacea. Really, the only thing I could figure out to do was to just dig it up and get rid of it, which is a bummer, but sometimes, I mean, you gotta just get that stuff out of the garden. I did try to cut it back to see if it would go away, and when it regrew, it did the exact same thing. So I don't know if that was just my experience. I don't know if when you cut it back, it always just comes back over and over like that, or if you can kind of just remove it. I think, but don't quote me on this, that it gets spread through the sap of any kind of like leaf hoppers you got hopping around. So I think it's best to just get rid of it when you can, get rid of all the plant materials when you can, so that it doesn't spread around. What are your favorite greens to grow for fresh cut flowers? Greens, foliage, that's always my weakness. Foliage definitely is my weakness. I think the Pantone color this year is green. I don't really keep track of that, even though I should. I know other people are like, duh, hello, that's important, but I don't really keep track of it, being totally honest. Green flowers, bells of Ireland. I've always had trouble with bells of Ireland, but they're so pretty, and I keep trying and trying. Obviously that. In addition to the bells of Ireland, obviously Buplurum can look really, really lovely, even though they're more of a yellowish. Zinnias, obviously the lime green zinnias. Now a lot of people grow the envy zinnia, and it is a pretty color, but I've noticed they have the tendency to look kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say like dirty, like kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain unless you've grown both the Benary's Giant, or however you say it, and the envy. I would pick the more expensive one over the envy, but those are really gorgeous, and I tend to grow those a little more in part shade, because it seems like the greens are more vivid when you give them a little bit of afternoon shade. There's also some really nice green amaranths. There's the green Love Lies Bleeding, and there's what's it called? I think it's Tom Thumb or something like that. It's a real short green amaranth, but it looks really nice in arrangements. If you're looking for more green foliage, I like to personally use a lot of herbs. Mint, rosemary, French tarragon, all of those things look really nice in flower arrangements, and they smell really nice too. Sweet Annie is another one that I really like. It's the Artemisia annua or something like that. Don't quote me on that, and I probably said it wrong. But that has a really nice smell, and you know, part of the growing the flowers and having fresh flowers in your garden is you get to experience these amazing fragrances that just don't exist from a florist. I mean, that's all, I mean, I feel like that's true. A lot of flowers at the florist don't smell like anything. That's why I always kind of giggle on the inside when I see people with a big arrangement from the grocery store and they're smelling it. I'm like, you are not smelling anything. You are not fooling me. But I love lots and lots of scent in the garden. As for other greens, I think there are some kind of pale green lisianthus that are really pretty. I've never grown them. I have a love-hate relationship with lisianthus. And of course, there's things like, you know, different coleus and different pelargoniums, the scented geraniums. Those are absolutely amazing. Just because something's green doesn't mean it's boring, and I think that's one of the things I really love when you add new green elements is there's all kinds of amazing aromas coming into play, and I don't know. If you can think of any more green flowers that you can grow for the cutting garden or green foliage, put it in the comments of this video because I feel like I'm forgetting a lot. So the next comment is, if you had to pick only one flower, which one would it be and why? Do you also do cold process soap? What plant has been the most challenging? Oh, I've got a bunch. And to get to germinate for you, how many tries did it take until you nailed it? Oh, there's some that I still have not nailed, trust me. Do you karaoke? Okay, do I karaoke? No. No, I'm not. I'm not really an outgoing person at all, and the last thing I'm going to do is going to get up there and start singing to people. If you've been around this channel for a long time, maybe like back at like 250 subs, you'll remember I posted a cover song playing guitar because I lost a bet, and I've still got messages from people like, you need to post another cover, and I'm just like, we'll see, maybe eventually, but probably not. Who knows? I don't know. I do like to sing and just goof off, but not in front of people. That's for sure. If I could only pick one flower, that's like the toughest question because I feel like the answer changes every time somebody asks me. Sometimes, depending on the season, I'll say ranunculus. Ranunculus because they're absolutely gorgeous and they look so, I don't know, elegant without even trying. You're just like, wow, look at that. But at the same time, ranunculus aren't very fragrant. So when the lilies start to bloom, I might change my answer. As for what plant's been the most challenging to germinate for me, I've got a bunch of them. Listen, that's one of the reasons that I love winter sowing so much is because I'm not a good gardener. Like, I'm a terrible gardener. I leave a grow light on it, and I come back like 8 days later, and it's barbecued to a crisp because I just forgot about it. Being totally serious, there are so many things I could not get to grow. And if I did, it was doomed anyway. So that's one of the reasons I love winter sowing so much is because it lets nature take care of things. And not me. That's the only reason this stuff is growing, because I am keeping my hands off of it as much as possible. Bells of Ireland, I've already mentioned that earlier. It's so frustrating. I'll get a couple of them to germinate. I'll stick them in the ground and then nothing happens. I don't know why. Sweet peas are another one. I'll germinate them, things will be going great, I'll stick them in the ground, things look great, and then they only grow to be like 2 foot tall. I'm at the point now where I'm just going to blame it on the weather, almost, but I'm not going to quit because I'm stubborn and those things are awesome, so I'm not going to quit. As for vegetables, artichokes. Here in Zone 6, growing artichokes seems like a major hassle, but I'm going to do it this year. You kind of got to trick them to think that they've lived through the winter, even though they don't really live through the winter here because it gets too cold. So I'm going to use my trusty milk jugs, and we're going to give that a try. And if that doesn't work, we're going to try to sow them in the fall and overwinter them somehow with some tarps or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's what this channel's about. I'm not an expert. I'm not a master gardener. I barely even know how to garden, I guess. I don't know, but we'll figure it out together, and that's cool. If anybody wants to watch, that's fine. If they don't want to watch, that's cool too. All right, what are some of the horticultural resources that have been the most helpful in improving your skills? Oh, Lord. If you want to call them skills. Being totally honest, nobody in my family gardens. I don't know anybody who gardens. The internet taught me everything I know about gardening. Horticulture resources that I've used personally are just a lot of blogs. I'll leave links to the blogs that I frequent down in the description of this video, because there's a lot of them. A lot of them are flower blogs. But yeah, most of the stuff that I know has just been from late night internet searching, like 4 a.m. reading about carrots. I really do that kind of thing. It's weird. I know. It's all right. I have a lot of jugs out here, and we haven't even started yet. This is just January. We're going to be doing a lot more in February, so stay tuned and tell me if you want to do another one of these type of videos where I answer random things and just tell you about what I'm winter sowing or what you want to do. I don't know. I'm open to any ideas. Hope y'all are having a real good day. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.